I am so honored to be chosen for this prestigious award. I was so shocked when I was sitting in the April faculty meeting, waiting for it to be over, and thinking, I only have one more of these to go. When my principal said that he had a special presentation, and in walked Sally, and I thought, why is she in Belleville? And then it hit me. I was shocked and elated all at once. But of course, as Sally was explaining that I would receive a plaque at the state tournament at the end of the month, and that I would speak at a breakfast for the advisors, the nerves set in right away. What would I say? How could I talk for 15 minutes? And that was my first sound effect. All right. One of the things I learned early on, both as an educator and as an advisor, is that a gimmick can go a long way. My latest publication avatar is the Hulk. I am mild-mannered, but don't make me mad and awake the Hulk. You won't like her. Today, then, I would like to talk to you about 30 years of advising. One of the things, the way I got involved in scholastic journalism is probably pretty similar to how many of you have. I graduated from EIU wanting to be a teacher with a degree in theater and minors in speech and English. I was on the newspaper staff at Highland High School, and my senior year at EIU, I stuffed inserts in the Eastern News at 2 a.m. on Thursdays. That was my extent of journalism background. I got my first start in Sparta, a small southern Illinois town. The district was going through a financial crisis, and I was riffed at the end of my fourth year. I interviewed all summer, and I had just returned from Okeechobee, Florida, where I had been offered a job. My mom had quit talking to me because she was upset I was going to move so many states away. It was the second week of August, and it looked like I was going to move to a place that was hot and full of alligators. The phone rang. It was the principal of Sparta High School. The journalism teacher / newspaper advisor had gotten a job as a college counselor. They would like me to come back, but I would have to take some journalism courses to be certified and advise a school newspaper. I said yes. Thus, my publication advising began some 30 years ago. It's been a learning experience each and every year. I was talking about my foray into public speaking to one of my colleagues, and he suggested an organizational strategy of going through the 10 things I won't miss about advising the newspaper. I thought, that's a great idea, but I think I'll put a more positive spin on it. So here are my top 10 experiences, both good and bad, that make up my life as an advisor. Number 10. The hours. The extra hours of production or the long bus rides to conferences or competitions, would I give that up? In a heartbeat. A 2.5-hour yellow bus ride is not kind to an old woman's knees. But would I give up some of the conversations I have had or with the kids, or the times we would laugh so hard we could hardly breathe? No. I love to reminisce with the staff about, remember when? The hours are for bonding. Sometimes in good ways, and sometimes in, oh my gosh, the photographer thought she'd saved the shot of the game on the computer and she's erased it. What are we going to do? Ways. Being part of a publication takes a lot of time. I've been in both types of situations where a class puts together the paper and where it is an extracurricular activity. I've lived through both the positives and negatives. In Sparta, I can't imagine the paper being totally extracurricular. On the other hand, I cringed at the possibility that High News at Belleville West would become a class. I don't have a grade to hang over kids' heads, but then they have the freedom to work around their busy schedules and still be on staff. Is one way better than the other? It depends. Isn't that really what advisors do best? Number 9, make it work. Remember this scenario? It's the first issue of the year. The editors are furiously editing and beginning to place stories on the pages. The news editor comes over and says that Tricia decides that being on staff was taking too much time and quit. She didn't do her story. There's a hole. What do? Make it work. Advising has taught me a lot. One of the most important lessons is taking what we have, talent, time, equipment, crashed computers, lost stories, bad photos, snowstorms, you name it. We can make it work. We do a lot of brainstorming. You know, the new Common Core standards, yeah. Want our students to demonstrate critical thinking skills, to listen to each other, to communicate effectively, to work cooperatively, and much more. Do you want to see that already happening in high schools? Come into a publication office or meeting. You'll see it, especially when we are trying to fix a problem and make it work. When I was young, I was much less flexible. That doesn't seem right, does it? It's like water flowing uphill. Over the years, I've learned what to get stressed over and what to let go of. Don't get the wrong impression, though. I can bring the Hulk out, and it's not pretty. Like when someone has a soda by a computer and hits the can, spilling it over the keyboard and shorting it out, then we have to buy a new one. Where is that money coming from? Number 8, fundraising. I have sold flowers, candy, suckers. I have had computer matchmaking services around Valentine's Day. We have done 10 years of trivia nights, which actually works out pretty well. It's a lot of money for one night's work. Why does it seem like for newspapers, there just isn't enough money for everything we want? A lot of that is because of number 7, technology. When I first started advising, we were taking type stories up to the local paper where typesetters would retype them and print them in columns. I would then go pick them up and bring them back. We would cut them out, get the rubber cement out, and would start putting them on the board. I can remember trying to change a layout and then having to take a scissors and cut just the last line off and to move it to the top so the legs would be okay. Don't even get me started on headlines. We would count out the headlines, send them up there, and they would come back. Were we always writing our counts? No. How did I finally learn about desktop publishing? Our principal in Sparta had decided he would get 2 Macs with PageMaker on them. The computers came and were put in the library, nowhere near my room. The principal gave me the manuals and said, "Good luck." Nothing like jumping in feet first. I'm sure that at first I muttered several not so nice words during spring break. So as I tried tutorials and getting the hang of this new program, but I had to learn it. There was no choice. I made it work. Journalism has pushed me year in and year out to expand my technology knowledge. I have colleagues at school who don't even have a computer at home or don't know how to get text on their phones. Advising keeps us young in this way. We have to keep up. And what will we do without our kids and technology? Anymore, they're the ones who end up teaching me. When we upgraded to InDesign, my editor-in-chief's dad was an illustrator who had experience in the program. He would teach his daughter, she would come and teach me, and then the 2 of us would spread the wealth. So that leads me to number 6, learning. Publications give so many opportunities to learn. We learn journalistic writing styles and the skills necessary to interview. We live daily the ethics of journalism, learning from our mistakes, always trying to be better. We learn by doing and experiencing. Sometimes the lessons we have to teach or the lessons we learn as a staff can be tough ones. That's why, number 5, an advisor is a mother or father, counselor, coach, or the heavy. Has everyone experienced the fighting friends on staff yet? I have in several different instances. 1 or 2 will come to me to complain about a third. Then the third comes to me to complain about 1 or 2. Someone said something or someone wasn't doing her job. Yes, it is mostly the girls who do this. Great. I thought only cheerleading or dance team coaches dealt with this. I think one of the biggest services we offer kids, though, is someone who will listen to them. We can be someone who cheers them on, nudges them in a good direction, comforts them when a contest doesn't go well or a college acceptance letter doesn't come. I can't remember going through that unit in my education courses at Eastern. Something else I won't miss are tough conversations. Those with reporters who consistently miss deadlines or meetings, or the story where the teacher tells me no one interviewed him and there are quotes from him in the paper. Or the cartoonists who do an editorial cartoon about school violence of a teacher with a gun behind her desk, and on the desk was a nameplate with the name of a junior high teacher the cartoonist did not care for, who then saw the paper. I thought the name was made up. Another learning experience for me. Some of the toughest conversations I've had over the years, though, are in number 4, administrators. At Belleville West, we are a prior review school. I give a printout of the paper to the principal on Sunday night. He gets it back to me before we go to press on Tuesday afternoon, sometimes on Tuesday afternoon. Since the beginning of prior review, on 3 separate occasions, we have scrambled right before going to press to take out some ads that weren't approved, an editorial cartoon, and some quotes. That which does not kill us makes us stronger, right? I wish I had an easy solution to administrative control in the newspaper. I could sell it and then just travel between my home in the south of France and the penthouse in New York City next year. In this make-it-work scenario, I think one of the best ways to keep the administrative supportive is trying to put out the best product we can. One of the ways that really helps that is number 3, competitions and critiques. We are competitive creatures. I know I use contests all the time to motivate students to read more or bring up test grades. It works as well in the world of publication. When Dr. Tidwell started on-site contests with IHSA, the Eastern Illinois High School Press Association, my kids loved it. As the possibility of an IHSA event started to bloom, I was so excited. We would now be competitive like the sports people, recognized like the athletes. How cool! It was a place to celebrate journalism, celebrate accomplishments of students. I love the fact that on the marquee this week, there's a sign wishing the publication staffs good luck at state. This competition and the critique services through CISPA, Quill and Scroll, NSPA, and others keep us striving to be better, to keep looking forward, always trying to improve. But what happens when we as advisors hit bumps in the road or have an especially tough year? What keeps us going? Number 2, support other advisors and organizations. When I first started at Sparta, I truly was at a loss. I can't remember exactly how I first learned about CISPA, the Southern Illinois School Press Association. At the time, Dr. Mannion Rice from the SIUC School of Journalism drove this organization. Truthfully, he scared me. But through meetings and then conferences, I met then Belleville West advisor Nancy Smith. She was the perfect ally. She was just a phone call away. I got all types of advice about how to handle my publication, and I had a shoulder to cry on when things weren't going so well. When Nancy's husband got a job in Missouri and she followed him, she's now advisor at the Lafayette High School and is recognized nationally as a force in scholastic journalism. She put in a good word for me at Belleville West. She left a strong program for me to guide. I was so lucky to have CISPA and other advisors for help. We have such a strong community with a wonderful network of support. I will always be grateful for that. So finally, the number 1 experience I've had as a publication advisor is the kids. I wouldn't be standing up here if I hadn't had students who were passionate and dedicated and curious and talented. These kids can drive me crazy, and I let them know that from time to time. But as sappy as all of this sounds, I have learned as much through my staffs as they have taken away from me these many years. And just when I wonder if anyone is truly listening to me or learning anything, those darn kids will do something that just amazes me. Being my last year, my editors-in-chief clandestinely planned a back page about me. I didn't have a clue. When I was getting ready to package the paper to upload it, they came and stood by me waving a flash drive. Sydney said, "We have an alternative back page for this issue." I said, "What? Let me see." When I saw it, I moaned and said, "I don't know." Then Sydney said, "You have to run it. The back page you saw, I made everything up." I was so amazed and pleased all at once. The new page was kind, but what tickled me most was that they both knew we couldn't run something that was made up. They must have listened to me sometime. I know I've rambled on and on. I was thinking about what to say. It got me to think about all my experiences. I chuckled to remember some things and shivered about others. That's what our lives are like in the world of scholastic journalism. So let me leave you with this. Being an advisor can be quite an adventure. We end up dodging a lot of obstacles along the way, but our staffs are pretty amazing. Just when we think this is a time we're not going to make it, those kids pull it together. It is almost like and even though we feel like sometimes we could use some superpowers, we can't imagine doing anything else. And when other teachers can't wait for summer, we already start thinking about next year, about camp, about designs, about new staff members. So, those are my thoughts, and I'll finally quit. Just remember, what you do is so important. Keep at it, because
best is yet to come, and babe, won't that be fine?
And for this wonderful recognition, I am so blessed, and thank you so much.